Hello everyone, welcome to Twin Talks. I'm Nadia.
And I'm Nikki.
Today we're going to talk about the F word. Failure. Psych. And why is it so important for people not to fail? Nikki, what do you think?
When I was thinking about this question, I always was thinking, I was always afraid of failure. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And what I've deduced is that I didn't want to look stupid. And I didn't want to look like, that I didn't know what was going on, or I wasn't in control of the situation. And I've since grown up a little bit and understand that that's a young conversation. The truth of the matter is that sometimes that failure or whatever, like you don't rise up to your own expectations, that is what allows you to either change direction or to figure out, that I need to do some sort of work to make it better for myself.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad thing, it was a learning experience.
Failure is mandatory in order to grow. This is in my humble opinion. Like Nikki, especially in my 20s, I had issues with fear of failure.
You mean you're not in your 20s now?
No.
Oh, okay.
Surprise. But I had issues of feeling of, I was afraid to fail because I didn't want to make a fool out of myself. I was afraid of the judgment, so I wouldn't even try. And that was a very big problem back in the day. But I realize now that all of my so-called failures has led me to where I am now. And so looking back, make things doable for yourself and you will not fail. Make it doable. So let me give an example. I am a terrible distance runner. Yeah. I thought I was the worst in the world, but I decided I'm going to take this on. I'm going to learn how to run long distances. So what does Nadia do?
What did you do?
She decides right off the cuff that she's going to run a 10K in an hour.
Well, maybe you should have picked a 2K now. Anyway.
Exactly. I should have possibly taken a 2K or a 5K. But no, I want to run a 10K in less than an hour. Now, for someone who hasn't run before, you think that's doable?
Some people could do it.
But for someone like me who can barely run a minute without dying, it was a huge thing to ask of myself. And so looking back, I felt like a failure when I didn't make the time. But looking back, I can say that I did it to myself. I put a challenge and it was not doable. So if I were to go back and redo it, I would say, okay, start at maybe learning how to run. Maybe running for a minute and walking for a little bit. And then sign up for a 2K race. And then sign up for a 5K.
Yes.
And actually do the 10K just to finish it.
Yeah.
And then you have the confidence to move on to
right.
raising the bar. What
That's
about
right.
you?
There are times where you look around. I remember when my kids, this is probably a good 10 years ago, maybe even longer, a friend of ours was doing a skating program, very popular with young kids. And I'm not the best skater, but I can skate. I'm just not like hockey ringette type of person. So I said, oh my God, you want them to go on the ice when they can't skate it at all? Like, they're going to fall and wipe out. They're going to kill themselves. I don't have to go. A part of me was going, oh, thank God I don't have to go on the ice with them. Yeah. But, all of us parents were going, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. They're like 2 and 3 and 4 years old. I don't know. And we're sitting there watching. And, I did take video. I wish I could find it. But, my son, he's out there. Sorry, son. But he and my nephew, they were on there together and they fell and fell and fell. And you know what? By the end of that first lesson, we're all as adults laughing. But they were falling, and what they learned that lesson was how to stand up. And what a metaphor for that. You could have looked at, oh my God, you fell 500 times. But at the end of that lesson, they knew how to stand up.
That's it.
And that was my metaphor for life. If you don't fail, then how do you learn how to get up? How do you know your resilience? How do you know what you're made of, right?
That's right.
So everything that I've ever done, I use that metaphor.
And I also find that life tells you through symbols or signs that if it's working for you or not. So I'm not saying to give up. Give it a shot. But if you're walking toward that wall and every time you're going toward it and you hit the wall and whatever you are striving for you're not getting, then maybe take a couple steps back and say, let me try it a different way. And then I can attain it. And if it doesn't work, then you say, how many times do I want to give it a try before you say, this is not meant to be right now, and change directions. Failure teaches you to change directions in your life. And if you are using the cues, if you are watching what's happening in your life.
And the change is not always a bad thing. It's maybe a signal for you to grow. And you know, the last point before we wrap it is that it's like the person who is trying to get on and do well for themselves mentally, and they say, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to push myself. If they don't push themselves, if they're just going to always stay in comfort, like what results do you actually get? You have to push. You got to feel the discomfort. You got to feel the discomfort, work within it, and if it's insurmountable, you might want to change directions a bit and then come back on it once you've given some clarity to it.
You can't wish for it, you got to work for it.
Okay, Miss Thing here.
So don't look at failure as a bad thing. Look at it as a life lesson and read the cues in your life and understand that you're not a quitter if you're changing directions. It may not happen right away, but if you change direction, you might be able to make it in another way.
Yeah, and open yourself up to new possibilities.
That's right. And if you don't fail, you won't know to change. There you go.
There you go.
So don't feel bad about it. It's part of life.
Part of life.
Right?
Right.
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 Thanks for watching Twin Talks. We hope you got something out of it today.
Like us on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe to YouTube.
See you next time on Twin Talks.
Oh, yeah.
See you next time
on Twin Talks.
Oh, I forgot to do the subscribe. Okay, let's try that again.